So this is the place where I first gave my life to Jesus, and it's a really weird place for me to sort of come to, because not the seat in general, but just the fact that I'm remembering the day I gave my life to Jesus, which was about 4 or 5 years ago. My parents aren't Christian, and the way that I see, the way I saw churches and stuff, it wasn't a nice place to be, but I kept on feeling empowered to be here every week. And this was at an event that I came to. There's a lot of youth workers around from around the country, and I came and sat here and listened to what someone said on stage. I've been coming to Elevate for a while, just listening to what they had to say, but I didn't have any wants to become a Christian sort of thing, or to give my life to Jesus. But my life was just so full of worry, and the way that I saw what my future was very accurate. The way that I was going down, the roads that I was taking, the things that I was doing, it was really accurate, the way that I thought my life would be. And that is probably a drunken mess right now, probably have a couple of kids or something, all the worst stuff, I reckon, because that was my personality. I wasn't able to control myself. I didn't have any sort of what you would call self-discipline. So I was really worried, and I've been constantly worried before that about what my future, because I was never good at school. Like, I had loads of friends, and I would easily get dragged into things like smoking and doing other things like drinking illegally, and I would get totally dragged in to what they would do. And I knew that this was going to be my worst enemy, myself, my worst enemy. And I came here, and basically, short story long, I started to feel God in my heart. I wasn't a Christian, but I knew that the worries that I had, and the worries were, what am I going to do after school? What's my job going to be? What are my mum and dad going to think of me being here? What are my friends going to say to me if I wanted to become a Christian? That was the sort of worries that I had at that specific moment. But my life was just one big worry. I would worry about things if I had nothing to worry about. I'd worry about that. It's a massive vicious cycle, and I wouldn't be able to sleep, so I would turn to things. I would drink, I would do other things like smoke and worse off things. So I really felt God knocking at the doors of my heart, and that basically means feeling your heart pumping. It means you sort of feel nervous, but you're not actually nervous. Do you understand? You'll understand what I mean when you feel it. But I really felt like God wanted to come into my heart. And that was a moment where I had to exchange something with God. And I wanted to have this life. People around me were so happy, and they were worshipping something. They were putting time into worshipping things. There was an awesome band on stage that wasn't looking for fame, that wasn't looking for people to acknowledge them in a human sort of sense of well done, even though we do that anyway. They were doing it for someone called Jesus that I heard about, but I didn't really know. And so I sat here, and I said one little prayer, and if you're real, make me stop worrying, because all the time I'd be shy, I'd be not confident, but I'd also be outgoing in the certain environments that I was in. So when I said to God, take my worry, an exchange happened. There was an exchange in my heart of, I will give you my worry, and God, He gave me peace. And in that moment, this massive weight, and it's very cliche, I know, you've heard it before, but a massive weight was lifted off my shoulders. It was easier for me to stand up. I was more confident. I exchanged my worries for what my future was going to be. I exchanged my worries for now when I'm at school, for my GCSEs, for what God had for me, which was peace. And it hasn't been a nice road, a very, very nice road, do you know what I mean? It hasn't been perfect. My road to coming here right now, about 4 or 5 years later, loving God and living for God in my college. It's been hard, but it's been totally worth it. I haven't got all the things that I want, but I have everything that I need. God says to us in Matthew 6, verse 44, do not worry, but just seek first the kingdom of heaven. Seek first God's kingdom. And that really spoke to me when I was reading it, because I was like, well, God's keeping us preoccupied by advancing His kingdom, which means to talk to your friends about Jesus and to show them Jesus in your school by the way that you live in. It's not all about words. Don't feel pressurized into talking to them. They will know that you're a Christian just by how they look at you and what you do in school. And an awesome verse as well, I'm trying to remember, is Philippians 4 verse 6. And I remember Sophie telling me this when I first became a Christian. And it says, don't worry about anything but pray about everything. And that's exactly what I do. The smallest worry that you have in your heart, you can exchange that for peace. This is one of the biggest exchanges that I could ever have made. I'm getting enthusiastic and excited thinking about it, that I don't have to worry. I wake up in the morning and I don't have to worry about my future. Next year I'm not going to college. I should be going to college, but I'm not. Stay at school. But I'm not going to college because I believe God's called me to work somewhere else and to do other things. And there's loads of questions of what I'll do after. But I don't have to be worried because God, He's got my back and He'll provide. It says in the Bible that God will provide. And I just thought tonight, are you going to make an exchange with God? There's some of you sat there thinking, I want what Will has. I want to have no worries in my life. I want to be able to cast my worries upon God, which means you literally pass God your worries and He gives you something else. And you want that tonight. Why don't you do it tonight? Why don't you exchange for God? It took me one simple prayer that I said in my head just to exchange worry in my life.